And hello, and we are back here for some more awesome people, presenters, and testers that we are finding here at the Agile Testing Days Conference 2024, reporting from Potsdam, Germany. Now, I have another friend that I walked into, and I walked into another little friend. Blah, blah. Callum, welcome.
Hello.
I got a little bit like glitched here. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Really enjoying the conference.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on today.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to spend my time between practicing for the awesome musical tonight and also like just meeting people and going to events and going to the great talks as well.
This is really an interesting because when this is the first time that I know that at a conference there's going to be a musical.
Right? Yeah. It's really exciting. I don't think I've ever seen one before
No.
at these sorts of events. So it's great that this conference is like willing to take a chance on like different forms of media to put ideas across. So Samuel Nishi wrote a musical with Lena, and it's about the use of AI within engineering teams and what that
Ah.
can mean for them as well. So I think it's like a really relevant topic in engineering,
Hmm.
especially at the moment. And it's a really interesting, different way to put the idea across. Because I think with a musical, the idea of the music is to add emotional intensifiers.
Yeah.
So I think it really speaks to the emotional topic of like what people are feeling when thinking about AI and how it will affect their teams as well. So I think it adds that human element that
Yeah.
you might miss in a conventional talk.
That's super interesting and brave. I big respect for that and like wanting to explore different facets. But before we get deeper, would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are to the audience? Who are you?
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Cullen Akehurst-Ryan. I'm a software tester that specializes in agile testing, specifically around embedding agile into new companies, embedding agile into startups, working with engineers to help them with like full stack code-based testing, scripted testing, exploratory testing, and all different facets of quality. You can usually find me talking online about a variety of different subjects. I tend to talk about exploratory testing. I talk about diversity and inclusion in quality and engineering. And I've also been doing a lot of infographics and talking about what different Dungeons and Dragons classes would look like if they were testers. So lots of different, lots of different talks, lots of different types of like content that I put out there.
I can tell that you enjoy the different perspectives on teaching and bringing people together to learn and to grow. And also, I'm curious, who's this little body that we have here?
So this is Romain the testing otter. He is a mascot for testing, especially when you're joining new companies, when you're trying to sell the idea of testing into organizations. It can be a really good thing to personify some of the testing that you're doing. I first got started using an otter as a mascot by having cute pictures of otters that I would send to people to say, thank you for doing some testing. Thank you for writing like a fix for this thing. Thank you for adding unit tests. Here's a cute picture of an otter to thank you. Or even when I was like raising bugs or defects, when people had like a crunch and being like, I'm so sorry, I found these issues. Do we care about these issues? I'm sorry for finding them. Here's a cute picture of an otter to try and make it less of a bad thing for you. So yeah, he's like a little mascot that we can use to just sell quality messaging and help win over people to the idea of talking about quality.
It's really cute and awesome that you find this way to make more palatable, and especially as you say, like, oh, here's an awful defect that probably will mess your afternoon, but here's an author, and I love. I am sure that some of the pictures you shared are the ones that are floating, holding hands, and
Yeah,
look
yeah,
super cute, right?
very much that. So there's also like a lot of pictures you can find of pictures of otters wearing hats. So lots of little like different hats. So like here's an otter wearing a crab hat, or here's an otter wearing a shark hat. So then you can like share those, or little otters in fancy hats.
I've
So
never knew or that was a thing, and I'm gonna definitely gonna search
I
about it. And
search for it and then start sharing it with your team to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, but like Crab Ramon or Crab Otter thinks you're clawsome. Uh, so yeah, and things like that. I think, and I've had engineers like reply to me to say like, we were really stressed out, but thank you for softening your messaging. Thank you for
uh,
like adding an otter to just make it more whimsical and friendly, because a lot of times like testers are seen as, especially if they're raising defects, they sometimes are seen as
a
um,
thread or
yeah, the people that are giving bad news, or they're seen as antagonistic or bad. And
mm,
I think just showing that we care, showing that we understand our fellow engineers, our fellow team members, like distress or stresses when it comes to these things, like just helps us to work with them and helps us to show that we are part of one team. We are not against the team. We are with the team. So I think it helps.
I love that perspective makes it easier, makes it. I don't want to say the bringer of bad news, but testers in general, we kind of like tend to go that way and make it easier, flow, and help the developers usually. And that has been a big topic, like make them our friends to enjoy the interaction because we are all working together.
Yeah, because I find that for me anyway, that testing is about like giving information to people so they can use that information. And the more that we can sell the idea that the information is useful and helpful to people, and the more that we can become a trusted advisor to people, the more our testing is seen as useful. And the more that our testing will be taken quite seriously or supported within an organization. So it's all about being that sort of trusted advisor, that we are the people to come to when you want knowledge about the system, when you want support on finding about the quality of a system. And if you're not the first port of call when it comes to trying to get information about these things, then maybe, working on how we're seen as trusted, we're seen as like a support for the team. That can be quite a
What
big thing.
what draw you or made you like try to explore these other ways in which to communicate the situation or bring up the others?
Yeah. It actually, when I first moved towards agile development, so this is years and years and years ago, I used to work in very waterfall teams. I used to work in very like old school banks for my testing, if anyone can remember that. But as I moved towards working with developers, sitting with developers, and trying to understand what they needed from me quickly, and what information I had to give them to help stop defects from happening so that we
Mhm.
could all work together in a quick way. It just made me start to investigate, how could I influence people? How could I become an advisor to people? How could I get them to help me to help them with thinking about quality? So it came from just working in Agile. And when I talk to junior engineers and junior testers now, I talk about testing and I talk about just all Agile workers. We need to find ways to give us the time we need to be able to do everything that we need to do. And being trusted, being like a good actor in a team, so
Mhm.
that you don't have to keep selling things. You don't have to push ideas onto people. People just come to you or they naturally work with you. Makes things faster. And then you can get
Yeah.
more done. So it's a lot about that, really. It's just going like, how do we as a team work faster? If you trust me, we'll work faster. So, yeah.
Trustable, friendlier, and so that things flow. And is any of this experience like reflected on your talks and your presentations? How,
Um,
how do you transmit it?
Yeah, so I sometimes I do write some talks where I do talk about how do we work in a team, how do we become trusted advisors as testers, how do we work with engineers, how do we work with other testers and build bridges and outreach to people. I also try to talk in a lot of different ways to try and engage different types of people as well. So if I'm talking about exploratory testing in talks, I will talk about it in like 5 different ways, because maybe that one way is the way that outreaches to a certain person. So I don't try to just stick to one way of doing things. I've been doing a lot of talks about testing as Dungeons and Dragons classes.
Yeah, what is that? What is the key
Yeah.
with Dungeons and Dragons?
So the game Dungeons and Dragons has a lot of different roles that you can fulfill in a team. You can be a wizard, you can be a priest, you can be a cleric, you can be a fighter, you can be an alchemist. They all have different skills.
It's funny that I can see how they reflect on different personality types and
Yeah.
learning modes.
But different testers also come with different skill sets.
Mhm.
So if you are a priest or a cleric, you might be an evangelist. You might be looking after people. You might be someone who does pastoral care, like a manager, or someone who coaches people. If you are like an alchemist or an artificer, you might be more interested in tools. You might be more interested in outcomes. You might be more interested in mechanical applications of things. So we can start to see the parallels between the different classes in this game and the different types of testers that we are. And when we understand that, we can see that not one person might be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And so we need to form a party or a team of different roles to be holistic, to be that generalist that we want.
To tackle the quest, you need like the different abilities of different
Yeah.
team members. And
So then we can look at our team and go, cool, we've got lots of evangelists, but we lack a technologist. Let's go find one. Let's add to our team. So when we think about how to use Dungeons and Dragons and how to build teams and parties in this game, we can bring that into testing and engineering teams to say, how do we build a good team that covers everything we need to cover?
wow. And even like these quests, these missions, some of them are just like, we need this team member to complete our
Yeah.
and keep
It's-
moving through the rest of the quests.
Yeah, so I've been talking about that in different ways as well, because I find that it's a different way of talking about team dynamics that engages people and excites them. And because we're engineers, a lot of us like games, a lot of us are nerds, so it resonates with people. And you might, if you talk about building teams, some people who are managers might be like, I'm excited by that, awesome. And some people might switch off and not be
Mhm.
interested. If you talk about, hi, I've got a super cool, like, awesome quest for you. And this quest is to build a dynamic adventuring party that's going to fulfill a lot of roles across magic and sneaking and intrigue and puzzle solving. Different people get interested in it. So it's
Yeah.
just a different way to explain a concept to people.
I love that perspective because it applies, and definitely I can think of not only like Dungeons and Dragons, but with archetypes of
Yeah.
which archetype is each one of your team members, and you should have all the characters, all the roles
Mhm.
in your team, and everyone will provide a different set of skills, perspective, likes, dislikes.
Yeah, and I've talked about as well, like there are different ways to fulfill all the different roles in teams.
Mhm.
So you could, there's a concept called multi-classing in Dungeons and Dragons, where somebody might be a wizard and a priest. So they pick
Ah,
up multiple roles, and that's like being T-shaped or comb-shaped.
cone shape.
Comb-shaped. So
How's that?
do you know the concept of T-shaped people,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they have
yeah.
a generalism and a deep dive?
Uh-huh.
A comb has lots of deep dives along.
Ah.
So you might be a strong manager in one of your T bits, and you also might be a strong automation engineer. So another one. So the more you have, the bigger your
The bigger
comb
the cone.
is. Like that. Yeah. Um, so you might choose to multi-class. You might choose to bring in mercenaries, and that's contractors in engineering.
Yeah.
You might go, we really need for this mission a wizard. So let's go find a wizard for this mission.
You can be like it sounds also in the missions like a mercenary. Let's hire a mercenary
Yeah.
for our team and just
Yeah.
get some collaboration. I love those analogies. I love how do you reach out to different things, how to get together people, make it easier, and all these techniques that you very well apply. And I'm sure that you're on stage and even singing and even like acting.
And I think it's the same thing. I think by using a musical to convey a message,
Yeah.
it will attract an interest and resonate. with maybe different members of the audience in a different way, and then they'll take that message away. Like a talk just about tooling and AI and technology might not hit those people, but a musical where there is emotional resonance might hit
Yeah.
them. So it's just using different ways to communicate ideas in testing, different ideas in engineering, just is going to reach different parts of the wider audience. So I'm really keen to do that because it's a way of being that trusted advisor and getting messages across to people. It does put the burden on us in the quality coaching and quality advocate space to be able to talk in lots of different ways. But the more we can, the more we can reach different people.
Reach wider audiences. And
Yeah, which
the,
is why, yeah,
I mean, I also want to be some respectful because Colin mentioned he has some other duties to attend to, and yeah, I don't. If it was up to me, we would be talking for an hour. But
sorry.
Colin, yeah, no, it's your time. I mean, I'm happy to have you sharing more of these insights and your. It's not knowledge because you have like more like a perspective thing, and it's. I feel it's your thing, like.
Yeah, I try to bring a breadth of perspective towards things at the moment. So when I'm talking, because there's a lot of people out there who can give you knowledge in an area. There's a lot of different, say, people online who have written talks or they're discussing things, a deep dive into things much better than I can. My talks at the moment are about like a different perspective or just giving my voice and the way that I talk about things to some like broad concepts in testing, broad concepts in quality, because I feel that will just resonate with different people. So yeah,
In those lines, what would you recommend to close up now for sure? Yeah,
yeah.
I need to keep my word. What would you recommend the audience to improve or widen this reach? I mean, you kind of hinted it, but concrete recommendation.
Um, don't be afraid to try different ways of communicating. Today, in an awesome talk that I saw about the concept of play in leadership,
Uh huh.
which was one of the keynotes here today,
Yeah.
I was told that people try things about 3 times before they give up. And
Oh.
that also includes saying no.
Yeah.
So if you communicate something and people say no, try a different way. And if they still say no, try a different way. And maybe after those 3 times, they'll give up. Don't be afraid to try different ways to put your message across to people. If that means like in a pictorial form, in an infographic, describing it using shared and lived experience, doing a musical or talking about a game, relate things in different ways, run a workshop. You'll find the ways that work for your teams and the people around you. And don't be afraid to just keep trying things because you'll hit certain people. And also, like on the other side of things, if you find a way of information being given to you that works, that
Mhm.
resonates with you, tell that person. Give a like, give a comment, go and speak
Support.
to that person and support them. They need to know that the way that they have communicated works.
That it's
So
reaching out and that is hitting
yeah,
them. And
because if like let's say we do a musical and nobody applauds, nobody comments, we think, oh, maybe that didn't work.
or
Maybe
this is not the right audience.
yeah, or maybe it's not the right audience, and then we don't bring it back. But people
Or you
want
bring
it.
it to
A
Broadway,
different audience. Yeah. we
a
go
different
to
stage.
yeah, we go to that. But people need to know that their messaging to you has resonated and works. So like it can be as simple as leaving a like, it can be as simple as just commenting to say thank you so much. So yeah, don't be afraid to try things, and also don't be afraid to just go, yeah, that worked for me.
Or when the musical is over, just go nuts. And, "Ah, oh my God. Ah."
Yes.
Give some support. That's a really good and important message, Colin. I love it. I love the order. I love it. Since I saw like, oh, squirrel. I mean, it's not a squirrel, but my attention got attracted, and that's the point. Colin, also for people that would like to follow up with you, know or learn more
Yeah.
about the order or your different styles and abanicas of um, transmitting the message,
Mhm.
where do they can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn or Blue Sky now,
Oh yeah.
under my name, which is very easily searchable, Callum Akehurst-Ryan. You can
It's here.
also find me on my website, which is cakehurstryan.com, where I post links to all the talks that I give, and I also blog about different concepts as well. And yeah, if you're ever interested in a topic or want me to expand upon a topic, reach out to me on Blue Sky or LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to have people say, hey, you talked about this, but I'm really interested in finding out a deeper dive on that. I'll talk about it. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you always like give back and try to collaborate.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it. Everybody, take a look, please. Hit him, connect, like. No, here it doesn't like and subscribe, but follow the blog as well. Go to the webpage. If I have some time later, we will put some links in the notes and everything in the comments. Callum, thank you very much. It
Thank
was such a
you.
pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Lovely
thank
to
you.
talk. Thank you.
And well, there you have it. I am respectful at the time. I went over, but well, that happens when you're having so much fun and learning so much. Uh, Thank you again. And everybody, this is not over yet. We are just starting with Agile Testing Days from Potsdam, Germany. Stay tuned because we will have more awesome presenters and little helpers as well. I'm not sure if anyone else will bring something like that, but super special. Thank you,
Thank
Callum.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Adios, everybody. Take care.